Good morning. Welcome to the Celtic Way morning briefing live. It's Monday, November the 14th. We're all on cloud nine. I believe that's what you call it these days. Me and Sean are matchy as well with the colours. But there you have it. I'm Tony Haggerty, at Haggerty10 Twitter handle, you know that. And I'm joined today by Sean Martin at Sean Martin TCW. And once again, three amigos have assembled again. We are joined by Aidan Macdonald at Aidan C. Macdonald. Good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Not bad, Tony. I see Aidan didn't get the memo about the light
He
green.
didn't get the
top
memo
today,
for
no?
the light green. No, he certainly didn't.
Yes.
Yes. We'll get you 100 lines, Aidan, for that and write them out. Signed by both parents. In by the close of play. There we have it. Now, first things first, we direct you to the ticker tape running along the bottom. You know what I'm going to say, but hey, thank you to everybody who's subscribed so far. If you want to subscribe to the Celtic Way and support top quality journalism covering the club you love, it's only £1 for 2 months of full access to everything that's written on the website. You'll enjoy some of the stuff on there, some hard-hitting columns, big interviews, all your stats and data analysis. It's all there, something for everybody. Just hit the button, guys, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. It's as simple, as easy as that. It's as simple, as easy as officiating a Celtic game, isn't it, Sean? Or maybe it isn't. We'll come to that, won't we, guys? No doubt. Now, we'll start with the big positive. I said we're all on cloud nine. Sean and Aidan, Celtic stretched their lead to 9 points at the top of the Scottish Premiership with a 2-1 win over Ross County. It was a thoroughly deserved 2-1 win, Sean, in the end up. But yes, Celtic played well in spells, and I think they were worthy of that win. Didn't you think so?
Aye, I think so. First half was a wee bit stodgy. Second half a lot better, and we'll come to individuals, but by an inspired Reo Hatate in particular. But no, I think you're right. I think they were very good value for the 2-1 win. 2-1 was a lot closer than probably what it otherwise would have been. We'll come to the penalty, but that was Ross County's only real chance. They had one header apart from that penalty, and apart from that, were totally and utterly nullified creatively. They never had any other shots on goal. So 2-1, I suppose, doesn't matter because Celtic get the 3 points, but it looks closer than what it was. Yeah.
Aidan, Sean mentioned Reo Hatate involved in both goals. Reo Hatate 9. He was on my player ratings. I think he thoroughly deserved that. But 2 cracking goals, nevertheless, set up by Reo Hatate, dispatched by David Turnbull and side Haksabanovic. Were you impressed by all of those performances, Aidan?
Yeah, I thought overall Celtic were more undeserved winners. Hatate was excellent. Not even just his assists and that, some of his touches and passes throughout the game were superb, and that was probably one of his strongest performances. Over the course, even though it was only 2-1, it could have been a bit more of a wider scoreline, but I was also happy for them just to get the 3 points to be going into that break with now a 9-point lead. So over the course, yeah, important to just get the victory, and not bad to be going into the break.
That was the bonus, Sean. David Turnbull's claimed the Celtic players didn't know the Rangers result before they went out onto the park. You're not buying that. Quite a lot of people aren't buying that.
I don't know. I can't see it being mentioned, but ultimately it didn't matter what the result was anyway, did it? I suppose, because it was all about doing their own job and staying at least 7 points clear. I did say to you last week I fancied it to be more than 7 when they broke for the World Cup. I was kind of hoping it was 10. I'm not going to lie, but I'll take 9. I'll take 9. Get it now. I don't think anybody can complain about that. I think you kind of mentioned Hatate there. I did think he was the standout. I think I actually thought he played well in the first half as well, by the way, but the second half in particular, I thought it took it to another level. I agree with everything that Aidan said there as well. I think the composure that he showed in the build-up for Turnbull's goal.
Yep.
I mean, it was probably matched only by Turnbull's composure to finish it all off, to be honest. I had about 7 players in the box and the keeper to actually stop, think, and just slot it under the keeper's legs. But I thought Hatate was a standout, but there was other ones as well, Tony. Haksabanovic, don't know what you thought about him. Well, I do know what you thought about him, so I read your ratings, but Haksabanovic, and for me, Alexandro Bernabei, I thought he had a good game as well.
Yeah, I thought David Turnbull's goal was a five-a-sides goal. It's what you do at fives. You know, you just get the ball.
Maybe you did fives.
Well, in my younger, more vulnerable days, yes, I kind of, so I would slot them away there, Aidan. Aidan's laughing. I did play football, you know, Aidan, you know. So, yeah, I know you're thinking, old man, you can't run the length of yourself. Indeed. And
you'd be right.
You would be right. I thought Haksabanovic's goal with it. Listen, to dig that out your feet and to produce that finish, the way it went in, it reminded me, remember, of Hooper's goal at Ibrox when he curled it. Just to kind of bend it, he got in it. And it's what took it away from the goalkeeper. Because see if he connects with that and hits a sweet shot, keeper saving that.
I like that comparison. One of my favourite goals, that one.
Yeah, just the way the bend on just took it away from the goalkeeper, and it starts wide and it comes in. It's just
There's also an Alan Thompson one that done something similar.
Yeah,
as well.
A brilliant piece of skill, Sean. You know, and to actually have the, you know, to think like that, because he's got what, split second, to dig it out his feet and produce that kind of composure, Aidan. I thought it was brilliant. Raymond Hansen, great foot movement from Turnbull for the goals. After great foot movement for the 2 goals, Aidan, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it was a really good finish under quite a bit of pressure as well. And Haksabanovic, he was already playing really well since he came in, but now he's adding goals to his games even better. And overall, given the fee that was apparently paid as well, it looks like a really, really positive signing. And another good option to have in the forward positions. So yeah, overall, the goal was excellent. The build-up play was really good, and Haksabanovic's finish was superb.
Sean Stuart Ross has done a piece on the website.
Yes, he has. I was going to say, David Ferguson says, can we discuss what an absolute steal Haksabanovic is? We certainly can, David. We certainly can, because up on the site today, I'll just put a link. It's in the description, but I'll put it in the comments as well. It was another impactful game from him. We've got a detailed breakdown of his start to life at Parkhead from Stuart Ross up on the site today. Let me just say, guys, it excites me no end reading it, especially coming on the back of your piece on him last week, Tony. Your opinion piece saying that Scottish football's not quite ready for this. This guy, Stuart, basically has taken that notion and flew with it right into the data, right into the ins and outs and stuff. And I mean, the eye test, it already tells us he's a player. Yes. But the underlying stuff just reinforces that there's going to be more to come from him. And frankly, that's a wonderful thought.
Indeed. Now, we've gone 8 minutes and we've not mentioned the white elephant in the room, Aidan, but it has to be confronted, doesn't it? Let's talk officials and performances. And Aidan, your thoughts on the refereeing display on Saturday, without going studs up, or you can go studs up if you want. What was your overall or overarching takeaway from that?
I thought it was quite poor. The referee's performance at times.
It is not generous.
Euphemism, isn't? Yes, indeed.
not even just the penalty. Just some of the decisions where, well, they were left a bit to be desired. Anyways, what I'll say. And overall, it didn't affect the outcome of the game, but it wasn't the best refereeing performance I've ever seen.
Sean,
that was very diplomatic, Aidan. Very diplomatic.
Aidan struggling for words there. Inexplicable, I think, some of those decisions. Now, you're a lover of IFAB.
I wouldn't say I'm a lover, but I'm certainly a keen customer these days.
IFAB is ABFAB because it explains the rules, and it certainly digs people at home. But
it explains the rules, but only if you read the rules, Tony.
It's a prerequisite for referees to know the rules, Sean. And when they're out in a parking, I just thought some of those decisions on Saturday beggared belief. I wrote the piece saying it was rank rotten refereeing, and
it was rank rotten refereeing.
Not going to stop Celtic, and Matt O'Reilly nailed them to the wall.
He did, he certainly did. He was not happy. You could tell just by looking at him, he wasn't happy. I mean, I suppose Postecoglou, even after it, was Still quite diplomatic in a way, but
Yeah.
still made it clear that he's just not happy with this, and he also later on kind of said, "Listen, he'll leave it to the likes of." Well, presumably he's talking about Michael Nicholson and stuff, but
not even after it, Sean. During at half time, he walked towards the referee and he was having a word. And Ange Postecoglou has never done that as a Celtic manager. So if you can rile Ange Postecoglou, Aidan, in 45 minutes, where at half time you're walking down the tunnel and he wants a word, you know, he's quite a mild-mannered janitor when it comes to calling out officials, and you know he doesn't single them out, he doesn't name them, he hates talking about that. He's said it before, but he followed David Munro up the tunnel, or he certainly motioned towards him and was speaking to him as the official went down the tunnel, and no wonder, because the first half performance, beg a belief, we'll come to some of the decisions, Sean, because you've got the IFAB stuff up there.
Of course I have. Of course I have.
Aidan, but when Ange Postecoglou's talking to a referee at half time, you know that there's something amiss, is there not?
Yeah, that kind of probably just showcased how much of a poor performance it was from the referee overall and in the first half, just like you mentioned there, Tony. And you can see Ange starting to get frustrated with that. It's not even about VAR at times, which I know we will discuss it, but just some of the officiating in recent games, there's been nothing even though we do with VAR has been quite poor. So you can see the manager starting to get a bit frustrated with it, because it's obviously leading to games breaking down a bit. And a massive part of Celtic's game is moving the ball quickly, which you're not really able to do if the game's getting stopped every kind of phase of play almost, it feels at times. So yeah, I can probably understand why the manager was frustrated, and the fact that's starting to happen probably does demonstrate that things haven't been getting refereed to the high standard recently.
Sean, ineptitude doesn't even begin to cover it, does it?
No, I thought that was one of the poorest refereeing or officiating displays, because it wasn't obviously just the referee, there was the VAR, Ian Anderson as well, but one of the worst officiating displays I've seen. It was just full of errors. Like, it was just frankly they looked out their depth, the officials really, which again comes back to, I'll bring up the IFAB stuff in a minute, because we've obviously not got time to go through every single questionable, baffling, or just downright wrong decision, but we can always chat about a few. But it comes back to me to what I was saying the other day to you guys. You've got to be seen to be robust with these things. You've got to be, if you're going to roll it out, that's as Postecoglou said the other day, don't roll it out if you're not ready to use it properly. But a lot of that comes down to the order in which it's been rolled out. It's not full-time referees yet. They've rolled it out midway through a season. Yes, there will be teething problems, and I said that from the very first match that was going to that phrase was going to be used, whether or not it was teething issues with the technology, whether it was just problems with the referee's interpretation, that kind of thing, which is what it's been the last few weeks. What I would say is, watching some of the other games in the Premiership, it seems to me a refereeing problem. It doesn't seem to me as if it's a VAR issue necessarily. It's more the operation of VAR and the officials just in general. Because there was games, the Livingston Hearts game as well. I mean, some of the decisions over the weekend and over the last few weeks, we've obviously been concentrating on the Celtic ones because that's what we're here to do. And Celtic have had some shockers against them. But just in general, it just seems to be all over the Premiership just now, since then. It's just that they're just not getting to grips with it, that quite a lot of the officials seem out of their depth. Now, to get the IFAB, I mean, what one do you want to start with, Tony?
The weekend,
I mean, we could start with that early on. Remember, Matt O'Reilly's clean dispossession high up the park, and early in the first half, pulled back, prevented at least a shot, if not a goal. But I suppose for me, there's a few of them commenting about this in the comments just now. Ross Laidlaw holding the ball, Tony, putting it down, and then picking it up again when he saw Kyogo closing in on him. Remember, the ref hadn't blown for anything. There wasn't a foul. It was just play. And then David Munro deciding after that rather than going by the IFAB rules and awarding an indirect free kick at Celtic in the box, he'd just, I don't know, make his own and just let County play on with it. I mean, I suppose IFAB PDF number 1 here, innit?
Go on. Look it up, because it's a ridiculous decision.
I mean, I was pretty sure. I was like, not unless they've changed this. But so I looked up, as I always do, threw it on Twitter for the masses to dissect, and it was just wrong. There's no other way to put it. He either didn't know or he just forgot. I don't know. It was wrong. It was the wrong decision, Tony. you don't know what will happen with an indirect free kick, but it almost doesn't matter what will happen with it. If it should have been given, it should have been given.
Yes,
So,
and it should,
as you can see here, an indirect free kick's awarded if a goalkeeper inside the penalty area commits any of the following offences, and the one that will draw your attention to is the second one. So, touches the ball with her hand or arm after releasing it, but before it has touched another player. I mean, is that not exactly what happened? Should the referee not be in a position to know exactly what happens in that? It doesn't seem that bizarre an occurrence, if you know what I mean.
yes.
So, again, you don't know what would have happened with an indirect free kick, but it doesn't really matter to me what would have happened. It's more, should they not know? Should they not know that's the rule? I mean, Kyogo seemed to know that was the rule. So,
Aidan, your thoughts on that? I mean, it's as clear as day, and it's there in black and white. David Monroe should know that rule, surely.
Yeah, he should. Somebody who's been obviously refereeing for a period of time should be well aware of the rules, because to be blunt about it, that's their job, to enforce the rules. So, that was one of the kind of many poor moments, and that was why when we first started talking about it, it wasn't even the VAR aspect for me, because obviously that occurred in the second half. The fact that Ange was keen to sort of speak to the referee at half time shows that there was plenty of moments where just basic refereeing was not being followed, which is, it is a bit frustrating, to be honest. And I don't really know what they can do to try and resolve that, because with VAR, at least you can say, oh, well, there is a bedding in period, but when it's basic refereeing decisions and they're not being followed, then it's frustrating as a fan, and I imagine it's frustrating for the players as well.
An old Dar reference incoming, Sean. I hope he's a good singer, because he refereed like Matt Monroe. You know what I mean? So all the older crowd will understand that.
Couple of comments about this one before we move on. Sean Molly just pointing out basically what I said, that there was no foul, so there was no reason to kind of even get involved beyond just saying, listen, you've picked that up again, it's an indirect free kick, look, what you doing? Basically. Kyogo's face was a picture. He was just like, well, is it not the rule? Like, so,
and I think Turnbull and Matt O'Reilly ran towards him and were explaining.
There was a few of them, but Kyogo was the one closing them down, as if like, listen, I've done it. I've trapped him here. How's this not been ruled? But so that was PDF number one, I suppose. I'd also posted that on Twitter. The other one that kind of got people in it, to be fair, this I really didn't know this, was late in the first half. Oh, by the way, just before we move on from that one, because somebody commented saying, was he not in control of the ball, that kind of thing. So a keeper is in control of the ball, and then it's there basically. The ball's between his hands and the surface, or by touching it with any part of the hand or the arms. Basically, he's like somebody commented, what was it again, saying, so technically is he not in control of it when he bounces it? And basically, no, he is considered in control of it when he bounces it. But anyway, so the other one, Tony, well, one of the other ones was late at the end of the first half.
Yep.
And Haksabanovic was penalised for a foul.
Yes.
He trod on Callum Johnson's foot,
and
Johnson went down and received medical treatment. So I genuinely didn't really know what the rules were for that now. Turns out they've been changed not long ago. So IFAB says previously, when an injured player received medical attention, they had to go off. They had to go off at the side, and then they would come back on when the referee deemed it possible. But they realised that if you were fouling a player so that they had to go off and get medical treatment, you were getting an advantage because you've got one fewer player to compete against, that kind of thing. So they try to get a happy medium, where they said if it was a result of unsporting, like physical contact, foul, basically, then the player can get medical treatment in a timely manner and can just stay on the park rather than the offender's team getting an advantage by him going off, that kind of thing. But what it says on this, and I didn't know this part, was IFAB decided that only for a physical offence, which it was obviously, but where the opponent is cautioned or sent off, an injured player can be quickly assessed and treated and then remain on the field of play. Now, when I watched this game back, Tony, I didn't think he got booked at the time, Haksabanovic, but when I watched it back for the data roundup, I had Celtic TV on, and both commentators were adamant that he get booked, right? So I'm going, right, if he get booked, the referee made the right decision. But I can't see anywhere else saying he got booked. I don't think he got booked. So that to me suggests that it was the wrong decision, that he should have been made to go off and then come back on. And obviously later on, was it Giacomakis with that incident and stuff? Yeah. He was off, and I think that was the right decision, because I don't think the guy get booked, did he?
Don't think he did, no.
So that would have been right. So that's just to clear that one up. But I was very, very confused whether Haksabanovic get booked or not. So,
and also as well the Maurice Gents incident where he failed to stop the play for the head knocks right away, and obviously Maurice Gents has suffered because of that, and he's ended up having to go off as a result of that.
Yes.
But that should have been stopped right away. That was a nasty clash of heads.
I agree with you, definitely, 100%, Tony. I think it was a shambles actually. That,
yeah,
and I would be interested to hear Chris Sutton's view on it, because he is very, very vocal about concussion protocol in football. Very outspoken about it, specifically with the FA down south, who, if you ever listen to Chris Sutton, he basically thinks they just don't listen to him about it.
Yes.
Up here, I think he'd be affronted by that decision, not to just immediately stop it, but also the protocol after it just isn't there for concussion. He did have to go off with it. He had to go off with it. He tried to struggle on with it. It just can't be allowed. It cannot be allowed. You can't leave it in the player's hands either, because a player's going to go, most of the time a player will go, no, I'm fine, I can play. It needs to be taken out of their hands at some point, whether that's a concussion sub, as Chris Sutton calls for, or simply the medical staff just saying, no, you are not staying on whether you want it or not, that kind of thing. But in terms of the referee's role in it, Tony, I totally agree with you. He's got to stop it right away. And the linesman, he was right next to it. Saw it, no reaction whatsoever. So,
Aidan, that's a concussion
there.
Yeah, Aidan, that's a concussion that Maurice Gents has suffered from there and has had to go off because of it. As Sean just said there, you're endangering safety of footballers. Now, a referee has a duty to protect, also officiate, but also a duty to protect players when these things happen. That should be the first thing on your radar when something like that happens. Clash of heads, stop the play, even if it turns out that there's nothing wrong with either player. Safety first at all times, especially, as Sean pointed out, the likes of Chris Sutton and others are advocating now that head knocks have caused all sorts moving forward as players get older, heading footballs and stuff like that, and headering opponents, and cracks in the head, stuff like that. So I can't for the life of me fathom why David Monroe never stopped to play there.
Yeah, that was probably the worst one of the lot for me, really. I know obviously the penalty was frustrating, but that's endangering the players there. Not being able to stop it when it's a clear head knock is one of the most obvious sort of things in football that goes back like a period of time. Do you know what I mean?
Boys club stuff, Aidan. Boys club stuff.
It's a basic thing, and hopefully Jens is okay. Obviously, when you see somebody having a head knock like that, and then they try and continue to play, and then he goes down, and you could see in the sort of footage when he was going off that he looked quite confused and dizzy. Obviously, it was a lot more serious than that with concussion, but just from an actual visual standpoint, that's what it looked like. And yeah, that was quite a poor decision, and hopefully that is something we don't see again, really, because that would start to become a real worry. And yeah, not to repeat myself, I think that was probably the one that concerned me the most in terms of the decisions, because that's just really poor and putting athletes at risk, to be honest.
Yeah. Now, we've not even spoken about the penalty incident, Sean, but I'm sure you'll flick
I'll
out
throw to you first, Tony. I will throw to you first, but I'll put this comment up. Regular viewer Mahesh Raja saying, O'Reilly Sam's above 7 o'clock when the ball hit it, so the penalty was the correct decision. Now, not to come across cheater then, but I don't see 7 o'clock mentioned anywhere in the IFAB rules, Tony. Just an unnatural position. So, what's your interpretation of it? I'll put it up on the screen again. It's a bit small, sorry for that, but
yeah, I thought the penalty was an incredulous decision, because first and foremost, I'm not convinced he was actually in the box either.
I think he was in the box.
But, so if he's in the box, then so be it. I can see why it's given, but there's the rules. He said himself, where is he meant to put his hand? It was kind of by his side, wasn't it? And the ball's bounced up, hasn't it? And there's nothing he can do about that. It's not deliberate. It's accidental, isn't it? Touch off the arm, but I mean, he's not made himself big. He's not put his arm in an unnatural position, and I couldn't believe it. As soon as the Ross County players claimed for it, I thought this could go to VAR. And I knew as soon as it went to VAR that it was going to be a penalty against Celtic. I just felt that it was going to happen. And And even on watching many replays, I just think, wow, I can't. I mean, Michael Stewart was incandescent about it, wasn't he?
He called it the worst one. The worst one.
The worst one yet. And I have to agree with him. If that's a penalty, then where are we going with this? And then you alluded to the Hearts Motherwell game. There's a decision in that where a penalty wasn't given. Well, the ball clearly strikes the player's arm, and you just ask yourself, why are some now deemed penalties and some not? I just can't get my head around it.
Looking at the other games, it seems quite a lot of the time they are just going to go with the old interpretation of if it hits it, it's a penalty, which is not the rule.
It was the rule there in front of you.
I know I've put it's an offence, deliberate touches the ball, blah blah blah, but right above that in the first introductory paragraph, it literally says not every touch of the hand is a foul. Now, I think it was in the box. I think like half his body was out, but I think that when it hits his hand, it was in the box. But that doesn't make it a penalty. Was it in an unnatural position? Ignoring the kind of 7 p.m. thing, again, I don't know where that's come from, but ignoring that part, was it an unnatural position? Not for me. Not for me. It goes back to this notion again, though, of robustness, of being seen to be being robust and knowing the rules and all that kind of stuff. So it's no wonder he was absolutely raging after it. Matt O'Reilly was livid, and you could tell.
Yeah. Aidan, are we getting back to, as Sean said, if it hits your hand, it's a penalty?
It seems like it, except in that Hearts game, obviously, with Forrest's one. But yeah, it does seem like that is the case, and obviously that's not the correct interpretation of the rules. And yeah, it's just a poor refereeing moment there, and hopefully something else we don't see again this season.
Anything else?
Sorry, Tony, as Edward of Oz says, an arm is only in an unnatural position if it is dislocated or severed. Which kind of goes back to Joe Hart's comment, remember, after the Real Madrid game? Does he want to chop his arms off? That kind of thing. It's suffice to say, it's been a VAR spectacular since it came in, Tony. We've been sitting here.
Yeah. I mean,
twice a week since it came in.
Been 5 games involving Celtic since VAR came in, and 5 times we've had to address VAR decisions that have gone against Celtic, and that's what we do. We watch Celtic games, but as you rightly pointed out, it was a weekend of shockers for referees for all different clubs. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've always said that, and I've always said you don't want favours, you want fairness in your officiating. That's all you can ask for. But I just think Saturday, and I agree with you, Sean, Saturday was arguably, now I'm 15, there'll be people that are older than me who'll talk about refereeing decisions from the past, but it's certainly up there with one of the worst refereeing displays I've seen in terms of applying the rules.
I agree with you. I think it was
application of the rules. Now, and I just it really, it was staggering. I mean, I was texting you off air or WhatsApp me and saying, I genuinely can't believe that the referee's done that. And you know, and I get back to it. I think if you rile Ange with your refereeing display, you know, you're going something, Aidan. You really are going something, because he genuinely he doesn't get involved, but he felt he had to get involved on Saturday. So it's just that I think it was just a dreadful display of officiating by David Monroe, and as you said, Sean, by the VAR referee Ewan Anderson. Even the two of them together were as incompetent as each other.
Yeah, both of them did not have a good afternoon at all, and some of the decisions were just.
I admire Aidan's restraint, Tony, because I can feel it. It's palpable here.
Covered pretty much all of them, but they were just. It was just so frustrating. And this was my sort of thing. I know it wasn't all VAR. A lot of it was just the sort of poor interpretation of the rules. But my whole kind of thing with VAR coming in was just disrupting the flow of games. And this is what I thought it was going to do. And I completely understand the arguments for it. you don't want to be left behind, because at the end of the day, the majority of the time, it does always get the right decision. Obviously, with that Matt O'Reilly one, it was very debatable. It probably did get the wrong decision. But over the course, it does usually get things right. But yeah, just I can understand why Ange was the way he was at half time, and no doubt probably even if we didn't see it fully at full time as well, because just slowing the games down so much. I mean, it's starting to feel like you're getting an extra 5, 10, 15 minutes added on to games.
Yeah, I suppose the benefit of that, Tony, is it lets you have an extra few minutes to get your detailed player ratings down to a T, doesn't it? But no, I agree with you, Aidan. I think Ange Postecoglou's mentioned it a few times. That is, apart from the actual decisions, if they're wrong, obviously that part of it, but just in general, that delay of the game and stuff. Ange has mentioned that before, that is going to be the biggest impact on Celtic because of the way that he wants Celtic to play, the intensity that he wants to keep up, the quick throw-ins, not letting the opponents get a breather, all that kind of stuff. A 5-minute VAR decision or VAR check gives them that breather and also almost takes it back off of Celtic, the effort that they've put in there. So I get your point, I agree with it. Guys are saying, calm down, Aidan, you're raging. I think you've been remarkably restrained today, Aidan. I think you've been quite cool, calm and collected.
I think a lot of Celtic supporters were left raging at that display on Saturday, and but the silver lining on it all was the fact that they won the football match, and that's what they set out to do. And Celtic are 9 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership, going into a break for the World Cup, and that's all you could ask for, Sean. And speaking of that, I don't know if anybody caught Jackson Irvine turning up for the Socceroos camp with a Mark Viduka retro jersey on.
No, I didn't. Was it what jersey was it? With the black and green? No,
no, it was the hoops. Yes, he's got Viduka on the back. He's turned up to the actual official meet with the Socceroos squad. Yeah, and somebody asked him what's on the top, and he was like, "Classic, mate. It's a classic." And so you check it out on footage. There you go. But
nice no, Tony, you're right. Ultimately, the big takeaway is 9 points clear with 14 wins from 15 matches, the last 7 of which, remember, have been without Callum McGregor. So what can you say except bravo Celtic, I suppose, in that regard?
Yeah, and they made it 9 wins in a row, Aidan, domestically.
Yep.
On Saturday, bowed out on a high. They're going to the Sydney Super Cup. Angie's homecoming. It should be a wonderful event. And as Sean said there, guys like Callum McGregor will be back in the squad when Celtic come back, and that's something to look forward to. And usually they get bigger and better and stronger, as the manager says.
Yeah, and if you look over the course of since they started sort of reintroducing winter breaks, I know obviously this is a wee bit earlier, with the exception of obviously the disappointing COVID season a few years ago, Celtic always come back relatively strong after the breaks, even if they've been a wee bit poor before the sort of 2 week or 3 week shutdown or whatever. They always usually are absolutely flying after it, like January, February, March time, or in this case, obviously including some of December as well. So yeah, that is definitely something to look forward to. And in terms of the league, the team's in probably a better position than anybody could have hoped for at this stage. So yeah, it's all positive from a domestic standpoint.
Tony, they're not the only people going to Sydney, are they? So
no, I'm trying to contain my excitement.
Our attention turns to the Sydney Super Cup as well as Celtic's.
Yes.
Tony, as I said, on Friday or Thursday, Tony will be on tour as of tomorrow. You'll still occasionally, regularly appear on the briefing from Down Under, Tony.
Of course,
so
yes.
You should stay tuned in for that, but also get on the website.
I'll turn up. Yes.
Also get on the website because Tony will be filing columns, features. He'll have his diary from Down Under as well as covering the actual games, among other things. Might even be a couple of tour videos in there as well, Tony, in it. You excited to go?
I know what buttons to press. Yes, there'll be videos and stuff like that. You know me. I'll trying to contain the excitement in terms of it's going to be like Carol Pilkington, an idiot abroad. You know what I mean? That'll be your old da here, but we'll work it out. We'll get there, and can't wait. I think it'll be very spectacular. So there you go. Do you still sign autographs, Tony? Only on request. I'm very humble that way. I just, when people ask to sign autographs, I always get a question why. But a couple of people have had their book signed and stuff like that. So yeah.
Andrew, just make sure you know that means you're on at 9 p.m. in the evening when you're over there, Tony.
Yes.
We 20 minutes. We 20 minutes with us.
I'll be well briefed on that. Yeah. That's if I wake up, because I'm told jet lag's a killer and stuff like that. I'll deal with it. But yeah, can't wait. It should be great fun, and looking forward to talking to you guys from the other side somewhere. It's like I've never travelled this far in my life, so I'll report back with my findings at some point. So there you have it. Safe flight. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate that.
There's always time for a wardrobe comment, Tony.
Indeed. I've not packed at all. I need to.
Oof.
Thanks, Helen. But I mean, I kind of know what I'm taking. But there you go. Enjoy, big man. Thanks very much, Jerry. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. And as I say, if you're out there in Sydney and you see me around and about, come up and say hello, and I'll say thank you for subscribing and watching the pods and all that. Nice to meet you in person, and maybe even get you on the TikTok video, Sean, for a wee kind of
why not?
Couple of seconds, and we'll do a wee bit. But no, thanks very much. You won't go home, says one fan. Indeed, yes.
Raymond Haddon, sorry, Tony, just asking what is the Scottish times of the kickoff for the games in Australia. So the first one's 8:45 a.m. And the second one is 3:45 a.m. Which, as I says, and you pointed out when it get announced that it was changing, will give us all a wee bit of a taste of what it's like to follow Celtic from the other side of the world. Indeed. Except you, Tony, of course, you'll be able to just swan along in the middle of the afternoon. So.
Yes, I'll be sleepwalk along. Indeed, yes, there we have it. But yeah, so tomorrow it all starts 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll be up to go to Glasgow and circuitous route, but Glasgow, Frankfurt to Seoul to Sydney. So get me there on Thursday, Aidan, about 10 minutes before.
Leslie knows all about going on a trip.
Yes, thank you, Leslie. Indeed. Thanks very much. I'm smiling, might not be smiling at some point later on, but we'll get there. But no, thanks very much. Appreciate it. And I'll, we'll tune in and we'll see how the idiot abroad gets on, Aidan?
I'm sure you'll be absolutely thriving over there, Tony. I've got no doubt about
that. That's one word for it, yes, indeed. But tremendous stuff. But looking forward to that. So we will reconvene and I'll talk to you from down under.
So next time you'll be on is going to be from down under, won't it? Indeed. No wardrobe behind you. It's going to take some getting used to that.
My karma might be affected, but maybe I'll do some feng shui in the room and get a wardrobe, sit beside it or something like that. But we'll see how it goes. But thanks, guys. Appreciate that. And you guys will be back tomorrow and Wednesday, won't you, to preview the Sydney Super Cup, because Celtic are taking part in that 2-game series, and everybody looking forward to that. The football goes on for Celtic and Andy's homecoming tour. And if you haven't already checked it out on the website, check out the interview that I did with the boy Sean Devaney, who painted the mural of Ange in Melbourne. Cracking lad, Celtic supporter, and really good. He's going to the Sydney Super Cup, but he tells us all why he did it. And it was a good chat with him. Really enjoyed it, and you'll see some of his other murals there. He's a talented boy, Sean.
Yep, we slideshow within that article I put in for you, Tony. It's I think five other pieces of work that he'd done. Some crackers in there. It was an interesting tale. Yeah. Engineer turned artist from Paisley paints a big Ange mural in South Melbourne. So
can't
give it a read.
Right, Aidan, I'll see you at some point in the week, but thanks for your contribution. You kept it together there well. Just even though everybody's saying you're privately seething, but Celtic are still 9 points ahead in the title race. They'll run their own race, as they say. Sean, thanks a lot. Always appreciate it. Top class. And thank you to everybody for your comments. We'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Nice one. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.